Hey, everybody, Leon Thomas here. Welcome to a special edition of Real Thoughts and Conversations slash New Biz Buzz because we're going to talk to Danielle Brzusek. And wow, does she have a story to tell? Real thoughts in which she has overcome, but also new biz buzz about the businesses that she has. If you'd like to be a guest on any of the shows that we produce here at the Leon Thomas Group, here's what you do: send me an email. Send the email to Leon at theleonthomasgroup.com. Send me an email. Yeah, if I like you, I'll bring you on the show. If I don't, I probably have a show for you anyway that we could come on and debate about something. So we'll figure out how to do that. Or if you know someone that has a business, a new business, or is doing something to help society, or would like to talk about some of the things that are going on right now in terms of state government, federal government. We'd like to hear your story, your side of it. And so, what do? You come on to Real Thoughts and Conversations or New Biz Buzz to tell us how you feel. We have a special episode tonight at 8:45 of Real Thoughts and Conversations where we'll have two panelists talking about their positions, their feelings about the political uh, arena right now. And so that's later tonight, these same networks. So wherever you're watching, if you're watching on YouTube, you can go to YouTube and watch that one. If you're on LinkedIn, go there. That one will actually be on Facebook too. Okay, here we go. Tonight's guest is Danielle Brzusek. Let's bring her on. Hey, Danielle, how are you?
Hi, Leon. Thanks for having me tonight. How are you doing?
I am great. I am great. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you spending the time with us on a combination show, Real Thoughts and Conversation slash New Biz Buzz. And everybody will kind of understand why I say slash. I like that way that sounds. Slash. Right? When when we get into our conversation. So Danielle, the first thing that I want everyone to know is networking, like business networking,
hmm
it's real. It works because that's how you and I met, right?
That is correct. We did meet through networking,
Yeah.
so it is a real thing out there, and it's incredible how the magic works.
Yeah. So folks that say, networking doesn't work, it's a waste of your time, yada, yada, yada. Okay. I don't know. Maybe you're not doing it right. Maybe you need to contact the same organization we're a part of, NRG, Network Referral Group, nrg.online. I don't know, but either way, that's how you and I met, Danielle. And when I met you, you told me so many things that you've overcome and things that you are doing now to help others and things that you do in business. And I'm like, this is great. People need to hear your story. They need to hear it, right?
Thank
So
you.
before you go into telling us, your background and all, tell us about what you do. I mean, really brief. I know that you have like kind of three things going on. You've got
Mhm.
that, that, that. Tell everyone what those just real quick ding ding and ding are. Go ahead and tell everyone about those
Okay, so
those three.
currently I'm a senior corporate paralegal at a corporation. So I'm in-house in the legal department. I also do pet sitting. So I do house sitting and pet sitting. And then lastly, I talk about my personal story regarding my hidden disability, and then work with people to kind of coach them and help them to, advocate for themselves and to feel comfortable and not have their hidden disability define them.
hmm So if I just listen to that part alone, right, and if I kind of take it backwards, you tell your story about a hidden disability, right? You have your pet sitting business, right,
Mhm.
called Happy Pet Sitting, and there's a website right there, happypetsitting.com. Folks, if you're on a computer or on a phone, you could actually go to the website now. You don't have to write it down. You can multitask, you can tab task. Okay, go there and check it out now so that when Danielle looks at the analytics on the site, you can say, wow, 77,000 people went to the website while I was on the show. I don't know if that'll happen, but you get the idea. Okay. You get the idea. And you're working as a paralegal, a senior paralegal.
Hmm.
So that is, folks, listen to that. She didn't allow anything to stop her, the hidden disability. And wait till you hear what happened here. So Danielle, let's start with that. Tell about what happened. You were in high school, and I love the part where you go, I didn't stop there. Didn't stop there. I didn't stop there. Go ahead. Take a couple of minutes and lay that one on 'em. This is great, folks. Pay attention. This is really cool stuff. Go ahead.
So, my sophomore year in high school, I got called down to the principal's office. And I remember walking down the hallway thinking, what did I do? Like, why am I getting called into the principal's office? I remember showing up and my mom being there. And I remember the principal telling my mom and I that I'd be lucky if I graduated high school. And so I left that day, and my mom, being very supportive, was like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. And I said, no, I'm going to college. I said, I'm going to graduate and I'm going to college. And she's very supportive and just was, we can figure it out. So I went back down that hallway that day and I sat there and thought to myself, I can go two directions. One, I can believe her and have her limit my belief in myself, and I can get upset and kind of, go down more of a kind of down spiral, or I can, use fuel as fire and prove her wrong and just go for it. And I didn't know how I was going to get there. During school, I had a tutor come 2 hours a day just to help me get through school. And I was getting C's, D's, and F's because a lot of the teachers weren't accommodating me at that time. And they would just continue giving me multiple choice tests. So I remember my mom talking to people. I remember doing research, and we did find a school that is specifically for people like me that have hidden disabilities. And it's called the Landmark School in Boston, Massachusetts. So my mom and I flew out my junior year, or that right before junior year, and we flew out. And I knew the moment that I showed up at the campus that this is where I had to be in order to go to college. And so we went ahead, and that January, my junior year, packed up my bags and went 3,000 miles away to boarding school. And I knew that that's where I had to be. I ended up graduating from high school. I ended up being an honors society, and I ended up being an AB student. And all it took was being in an environment where people could teach me the tools that I need. And then I was able to retain the information and then provide it back on a test. A lot of my tests were, I was either essay tests, or they would ask me the questions verbally, and then I would verbally talk to them and tell them the answer. But I didn't stop there. I continued on to college. I actually started at Denver, Colorado, which was fantastic, then decided to move back towards Washington State and went to Whatcom Community College and got my AA degree. And then after that, I rolled into Western and got my BA degree in recreation and leisure and environmental ed. And I didn't stop there, kept going. And later on, I went back to school and got my paralegal certificate, and then just kind of kept moving forward and opened up my businesses and just keep putting the goals in front of me and keep moving forward. It has not been, glorified the whole entire time. I will be honest, there has been, peaks and valleys. There has been setbacks. I did go to one college my sophomore year, and unfortunately, they did not accommodate me again. And I got D's and F's, and I was actually kicked off the tennis team. So that was pretty devastating, just because sports was my outlet. And I excelled really good in sports. And so I really tried to take the positivity of sports and try to move it over into, my schooling, because school was not easy for me. And so there were ups and downs, but throughout the time, I just kept, moving forward.
Now, first, I want to comment on the whole thing about sports. I don't know if you are aware, I'm a racquetball coach. Eh,
Love it.
Wow, how convenient. I just happen to have a racket and a ball right here, right? Right. Yeah, I'm a racquetball coach. I run a youth racquetball program in Baltimore called Racquetball Revival, and that's the website there, racquetballrevival .com. And some of the players in our program have learning disabilities, right? And other health related concerns, other things, and racquetball is an outlet for them, right? And so that's something that I tell the parents. I don't care what happens. The room's dirty. They don't do well in school. I don't care. They got to play racquetball because they need this, right? They need this. So it was pretty interesting, how coincidental that you said that, right? Now, I want to make a comment or two, and then we can talk more about it. Not only, with the principal, right, said to you, you're not going to do it. You're not going to make it, right? Many people have folks tell them you're not going to make it for whatever the reason is,
Mhm.
right? And so many people believe it, or it resonates with them enough just to bring them down mentally, enough to get them discouraged. You're not going to do. And for you, you said, watch this, watch this. I got something for her. Watch this. And then you found a school. You became an advocate for yourself and found a school, and you went across country. How old were you when you went across country to go to high school?
So I was probably not even 16 yet, I think, or maybe 15 and a half.
So you're
Yeah.
14, 15, 16,
Yeah, I was
somewhere
like
like that.
probably 15 and a half. I wasn't even 16 yet because it was my junior year, and I'm the youngest one in the classrooms because I'm a June baby.
So you just said, I'm going over here,
Hmm.
right, to Boston, right? And so then you had to start eating lobster and lobster roll and all of that stuff. So you had a change in diet, but also you went across and you went by yourself, right? I mean, you didn't have a
Hmm.
classmate go with you. It's you
No.
because your mind said, I'm gonna get this thing right. I'm gonna get it right now. Now let me ask you this. So as you're going through all that, and you said, the first college, they didn't work with you. When you say that they weren't accommodating, what type of accommodations did you need, and what type of accommodations should teachers,
Mm.
parents, educators, coaches like me tell us what type of accommodations did you need, and what are some things that adults often miss in recognizing that someone may have a hidden disability?
So that's a great question. So my first college in Colorado was fabulous. They were great. They had a resource center. They had, for me specifically, I needed to have books on tape because for me, I needed to see it and hear it and write it in order for it to really sink into my brain. And so they were phenomenal. The second school that I went to, they said they had a resource center, but unfortunately they didn't. And when I would ask for the books on tape, sometimes they did them, sometimes they didn't. So it was kind of inconsistent. The other accommodation that I needed was a lot of the tests in college and then also middle school and all the way through school are multiple choice tests because those are the easiest to grade, quick, easy. But the way that my brain works is I can sit there and I can study and I can sit there and tell somebody all the answers, know all of the information. But then the way that the format is for the multiple choice test, because each question is so close to the other one for the answers, one word could send me off to a different direction, and I would be like, yeah, B, I got it, yes. And then it would come back and I would get an F. So they would go ahead and they would either do oral exams with me where they would read the question, and then I could sit there and I could talk to them and tell them so they knew that I knew the information. Or they would go ahead and do essays. And so then I was able to write what the answer was. And that was just the biggest change right there because
Hmm.
that's how I could tell them, I knew the information. I remember my sophomore year in high school going into, a history class, and the girl next to me scramming, oh, I'm going to, I have 5 minutes to, memorize all this stuff. And I had been studying all week, and I got my test back. I got a D, and she got an A.
Hmm.
I was not.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Wow. And so I'll tell you, when I'm retired from the hotel business, I worked as a trainer for most of my hotel career. And one of the roles that I had was teaching a certification course for hotel general managers. And I can remember some managers that if I asked a verbal question during class, ding, they got it. If I asked them to take a look at a series of documents and write down in essay form or in bullet point the things that need to be improved in the hotel, they could do it. But when we gave them I don't know, I think it was a 125 question multiple choice exam, they failed. And one of the general managers said to me, he said, "Look, I've been doing this for a long time. I could probably teach the class. I answered every verbal question in class. I led discussions, ding, ding, ding. And you're telling me I didn't pass this test? No way." And we went deeper and looked at his answers. And yeah, and so he failed it again. And he said, "Give me a verbal test. Give me something to look at. Just don't give me multiple choice." And he did, and he scored 100. No. And so we didn't recognize that there may be a hidden disability there, but we knew that he could apply it for sure, right? We knew that. So Danielle, before we take a break and look at some of the commercials that our team has put together, tell me, you go through high school and then junior college and you get your degree. Where did this paralegal thing, how did that get into all this? I mean, where, how, what? Go ahead, explain. Where did that come from?
Well, after college, I was also in the hospitality. I worked for the Ritz Carlton for a couple of years right after college. So that was amazing. And then shortly after, somewhere down the road, I became an at home mom for 5 years. And so when my oldest was 5 years old, I had to go back to work. And so I started with the kids programming and getting him through preschool. And then when he was in first grade, I was helping my dad at his office. And, and then all of a sudden, one of his friends needed to fill in a receptionist. And I went ahead and I started at the law firm. And I enjoyed going into legal so much that I turned around and thought, I'm going to get my paralegal certificate. Let's see where this goes. And so I did an online course with UW. It was a year. It was challenging, but my mom was right there next to me and helping me. And I had some study groups to break down the tests. And the tests weren't just all multiple choice. There was a lot of, practicum. So, creating a pleading or, looking at a case and then, discussing it or other types of things rather than just the multiple choice. And I graduated from that. It was a year program, and then just kind of continued on from there and kind of ventured into. I've been at my current corporate job for 6.5 years.
Right on. Great. This is great. And again, I hope everyone who watches the show recognizes one that somebody said you couldn't do it, and you said, "Yes, I can," but you didn't stop there. You didn't stop there. Now, when we come back from break, I want to let's talk some about what you do, right? How you go out and help others and share your message. And then let's also talk about your other business, your pet sitting business. All right. Let's do that. Folks, you're watching Real Thoughts and Conversation slash New Biz Buzz. Our guest tonight is Danielle Brzusek. We'll be right back right after this short break.
Announcing the newest show from the Leon Thomas Group, Cooking with Kids in the Kitchen.
Each week, we're going to have kids on the show in their home kitchen, showing us their culinary expertise right here on Cooking with Kids in the Kitchen. If you know of a kid that would be great to have on Cooking with Kids in the Kitchen, contact Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group.
His email address is leon@theleonthomasgroup.com.
That's leon@theleonthomasgroup.com.
Cooking with Kids in the Kitchen.
At Rod's Car Repairs, we work on all cars, old cars, new cars, and your car. Car Repairs by Rod.io.
Renting is everything. It's style at your doorstep, off the runway and into your closet. It's every trend you've been dying to try and every designer you've yet to discover. It's wearing it your way every time and making it count everywhere you go. It's never worrying about what to wear because something new is always coming your way. That's why renting is everything. New styles, top designers, all for a flat monthly fee. Start your subscription at renttherunway.com.
Slow roasted over hickory fire and pulled by hand. This is the way pit pork has always been done. Pulled pork lovers, rejoice. The smoky old days are back at the Smoke Shack. From the creative team that brought you the Browning Project and Dead by Morning comes a new thriller that will change the way you look at white-collar crime forever. Falling from the Sky.
Baked by Brianna has been your Baltimore hometown bakery since 1969. Located in Roxton Plaza, Baked by Brianna. Visit bakedbybrianna.io.
Water. It's everywhere. We drink it, we bathe with it, we cook with it. Coffee's made with water. Toilets won't flush without it. It's used for washing clothes, dishes, utensils, pots, pans, floors, and our teeth. Plants and crops need water, animals drink it, and fish need it too. And don't forget, we can have a lot of fun in the water. Water. What would we do without it?
And special thanks to our interns and students for putting those commercial pieces together from the Leon Thomas Group. We want to be your partner in all things virtual. If we can help you with a virtual event, a podcast, a webcast, a commercial, an advertising piece, you name it, we probably can help you. Send me an email. That's Leon at the Leon Thomas Group, or check out our website, theleonthomasgroup.com. Our guest tonight is Danielle Brzusek, who has overcome so much, and she shares her story about everything that she's doing. You can get in touch with Danielle through her email address. Danielle, go ahead and tell everyone your email address, please.
It's Dani, Dani, BRZ23 at gmail.com.
And your website is.
There's DanielleDoesHealth.com. And then the pet sitting is happypetsitting.com.
And let's talk first about Danielle Does Health. Tell us what your mission is there through that business that you have, and what you do there. Tell us about that.
My biggest mission is to get my story out there and inspire people to not have their hidden disabilities define them or limit their belief. Or if there is somebody out there that has said something that limit their belief, just like the principal did, to be determined, turn around, find something that you love and the passion, and just go for it. It's not always one way. The one thing that I really liked about your story prior to us going to commercial was that story about that general manager and how you gave him another opportunity to show how to go ahead and, give the information and let you know that he really does understand it, even though he couldn't show it on the multiple choice. I think it's really important that anyone, whether it's a teacher, a parent, or anybody, just try different new things to see, and understand that not everybody comprehends everything or spits it back out on the test the same way.
Mhm. Yeah,
So, my biggest mission is just to get out there and let people know my story. When I graduated my sophomore year my senior year in high school from Landmark School, I remember going across that stage. And as soon as I grabbed my diploma, I thought to myself, I'm going to come back to this stage one day and I'm going to stand up on the stage and I'm going to tell my story. And I'm going to say how Landmark really helped me kind of fuel and just continue moving forward, get through college and everything and, keep setting goals.
yeah,
So recently, probably in the last couple of years, I just thought I need to get on, TV stations, social media, wherever I can, and just let people know my story.
yeah, yeah. This is so great that you're doing that. Sharing the story, and that's something that many people have a story to share. That folks would listen to it and they don't share it. Right. That's one. Or we have folks who want to share information and it's really not a story, right? It's just, I know how to do ding, ding, ding. I know how to use a calculator. I know how to play racquetball. I know how to play a trumpet. That's nice. But when you talk about your story and sharing it, you're having an impact on the lives of adults, teens, elementary age students, middle school. You're touching them all, but through your presentations, you're also helping those in educational leadership, coaches, and others understand how to better educate, how to better make connections with folks, and that is so great that you're doing that. And so you'll go out to companies and talk, you go to schools and talk, and all those things, right? I mean, you'll
Mhm.
do all of that, right?
I will.
Yeah. And how about does it have to be in person? Will you do it virtually? How
I
what's
will
the
do
what's
it
the format?
virtually. I'll do it in person. I do workshops and kind of, break down a couple different, types of things depending on what the audience is.
Yeah.
One of a conference that I'm going to be doing next month, I will break down visually, kind of, think about how you've studied really hard for a test and how excited you are and you feel like you ace this test to only come back the next day and
Yeah.
see a D or an F on the test and how you feel.
Mhm. Yeah, well, it's great that you're doing that. And tell us about happy pet sitting. Tell us.
Mhm. So I've always had a love for pets. I remember when I was younger, we had a dog named Woodby. And, when I would be upset coming home, felt defeated because there were a lot of days that I would come home feeling defeated. Mom, I studied so hard and I got a D on this test. Why is this happening to me? I would come home and I would go up into my bedroom and I would just curl up with the dog. And then I remembered that, you know what, this is only a setback. And, I processed the feelings and then just got back up and started running again. So I've always had this knack, especially for dogs, but all pets. And so about 13 years ago, I lost my dogs. I had two of them, two golden retrievers. And I really thought about having another dog, mainly kind of for emotional support, I guess, because when you're feeling upset, if you go play with the dog, sometimes it just kind of changes your emotional state, or an animal, any kind of an animal. And so I decided 2 years ago to launch officially my happypetsitting.com. And I move into people's homes and take care of their pets so they can go and enjoy, vacation, Italy, Hawaii, wherever they want to go, and enjoy it and know that someone is taking care of their fur babies, because pets are part of the family.
So then, instead of a family taking their pet to a kennel
Mhm.
or bringing them even to someone else's home, you move into the home where the pet is.
And the reason for that is some pets, or majority of the pets, have anxiety about leaving. Um, you know, so if you think about it, some people are very comfortable in their environment, and then leaving, right, can,
Yeah,
be a little difficult. Same thing for pets. Some of them are really adaptable. You can go ahead and they can kind of move around. Others are really set in their schedule, in their ways. And so I work with the owners to go ahead and notify me of what their schedule is. Hendrix walks at 6 a.m. and then has his breakfast at 7, and then goes back out. And then at noon, you got to let him back out. And, dinner, well, after dinner, he goes ahead and has his, greenie or a bone, or,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
set in the patterns just like we are. So what's really amazing is their anxiety level is brought down significantly when they're in their own environment. And I really try to keep the schedule as close to as what the parents have done.
Wow.
And so it's terrific, and it's really it's an outlet, I guess, for me too,
Yeah.
because I have to walk the dog, or feed them, and
Hmm.
have that emotional support, I guess. So
Yeah.
and then it gives the parents or the owners the opportunity to travel and have a
Hmm.
good time,
Hmm.
and enjoy themselves, and know that their fur babies or their pets are being taken care of because they are family members.
I'll say this. Who knew? You taught me so much. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know about the anxiety that pets have. Wow, this has been a learning opportunity, a learning show for me. Thank you, Danielle. Wow, who knew? And that's so you can go to happypetsitting.com to learn more about Danielle's pet sitting business and to get her to tell her story, to get Danielle to tell her story about how she's overcome so much and the hidden disability. Go to danielledoeshealth.com. And if you just want to email her, don't email her telling her she won $900 million and all that stuff, because she's probably not going to believe it. But you get the idea. If you want to email, there's the website, DANIBRZ. I'm sorry, the email address, DANIBRZ23 at gmail.com. Danielle, thank you so much for sharing your story and for what you're doing to help others, and for being here on Real Thoughts and Conversations slash New Biz Buzz. It's really, really great getting to learn about what you do. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you, Leon, for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Yes, our pleasure. And folks, if you'd like to be a guest on Real Thoughts and Conversations, you can just send me an email. The email address is leon at theleonthomasgroup.com. And to take a look at the great work that our team does, all things virtual, go to our website, theleonthomasgroup.com. Thanks for watching Real Thoughts and Conversations. We'll see you next time.